Welcome to my first attempt at a Mindustry PvP video. I want to make other videos, but I had a really fun time playing this game, so I thought I'd upload it, record it, share some thoughts about just the game in general. The goal I have with the videos I'm gonna make later. This one's just for fun. I just wanted to make this one because really enjoyed this game. But the goal of me making all these videos is there's a lot of players that I've seen who aren't really very good at the game, and not because they're not bad, not because they're not good at PvP or Mindustry or Erekir, but kind of just this new format of PvP on top of all the Erekir tech that some people might not be familiar with. It's kind of a lot, especially with all the unique things to this server. This is the Eviction server. If you aren't familiar with it, you probably are if you're watching this video. The owner of the server is Erekir. He actually makes these videos too. He's very good at the game. I'm not anywhere near his skill, but I just honestly these videos are more aimed to help people who are trying to, I guess, get better at anything, in like whether it be Erekir, which I play only Erekir, so I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the things. There are definitely some very good players. I am not that good, but I definitely know enough to help those who aren't really as familiar, kind of deal. And that's just kind of my goal with this. So I don't know. Here I'm just kind of getting started. I'm a little bit slow with my setup. I'm sometimes a little bit faster, but I'm fumbling around, as you probably have noticed. But I think I checked the map a couple of times here. Everybody's across the map, so I'm pretty safe right here. So I guess something about me is I really just want to get as familiar with the tech as possible, so I always make my own schematics for that reason. There's a couple of schematics I stolen from a few people. Like if you look at my schematic, if you pause the video on my schematics, you'll probably recognize a couple of them that other people use. But for the most part, I like to make my own schematics. Again, just for the purpose of getting as familiar as I can, just building that muscle memory. I really want to optimize a lot of things. I've spent the last couple of days just honestly working on optimizations for like T4 and T3 and T4 factories, which I haven't really done a whole lot of until recently because I wasn't at the skill level where I really needed T3 and T4 factories until recently. So I've definitely grown a lot just from repetition. And for those who aren't as familiar with this game, honestly, just hop on and just try it over and over again. Like the first couple of times you play, it's definitely gonna be rough. You're gonna be in your own core, doing your own little hex, not doing very much. But the more you play, definitely the more confident and the more familiar you get. It also helps when you have other people there to help you, which is kind of my goal with this, anyways. But yeah, in this battle, I'm going against two other coppers, and I happen to know I'm definitely a little bit more skilled than them. So I know I'm pretty safe. I'm playing pretty relaxed right now because I know even if I did get a little bit behind, I could catch up. So I'm not too stressed right now. But there definitely are games where I am like really stressed and I make way more mistakes when I'm stressed and like not how it's going. Yeah, it's a mess. But this game I'm doing pretty good. I'm also going way slow. Usually would have. How far into the match we are? I guess we're only like 4 or 5 minutes, so it's not too bad. But pace isn't horrible. But I definitely want to get better with my pace, because there are some of the top players are wicked fast at this game. They just progress through the tech tree like it's nothing. Like it's crazy. I'm starting to get there, but I still got a ways to go. I obviously haven't checked too much of my neighbors because they're across the map. If they're nearby, I'd be checking in on them way more often than I am right now, but I haven't checked up on them in a second. I probably will right here, right? No, I don't, actually. Yeah, so kind of like Larafeticus does, I just recorded this video. I didn't know if it was gonna be a video worth recording. This is gonna be a match worth recording, but I had a couple matches that I really wish I recorded, so I just decided I'm just gonna record every match I'm in. That's like has at least slightly noteworthy opponents, because it could turn out really interesting. Which this one did. I did not expect this one to be nearly as interesting as it was, but it was very interesting. And for those who aren't as familiar with I guess Erekir or PvP, I just basically demolished my impact drill. It uses way more power than it's worth. And I already have large plasma bores set up mining tungsten, and that's much more efficient than mining with an impact drill. So I just demolished the impact drill because it's a giant waste of power once you have a plasma bore. So finally I'm expanding into my second hex. I guess both of my neighbors are expanding into both of their hexes, so we're at roughly the same pace, I think, which is pretty good. So one of my opponents is playing on mobile, so he's very good for playing on mobile. So I used to play on mobile and it was rough, so he's honestly very good for playing on mobile, as you'll see later in the game at least. But later I plan on making a bunch of videos talking about like the economy in detail, specifically for the server. Like you can apply these same principles. Obviously, I'll be talking about Erekir, the same economy basically, but the economy on here is much tighter. You want to rush through it as quick as possible without running into resources, without running out of resources, and that could be quite the problem when you're trying to progress through the tech tree as fast as possible, and you're trying not to run yourself dry on beryllium or silicon. Or I've done that. Like as you can see, I'm very low on beryllium right now, because I decided on going in for oxide and tungsten instead of making like 48,000 beryllium bores like some people do, which is definitely one of the big mistakes that new players make. Is they treat this like the campaign, and the campaign, honestly, I don't enjoy the campaign very much. It teaches the tech decently, I guess, but it doesn't help you. It doesn't push you, I guess, which is why I really like Hex PvP, because I am a significantly better Mindustry player just in the last month, just because I've grinded over and over. It's almost always worth it to boost your plasma bores, but these ones I didn't, just because I was lazy. But when I paid the price for it, because I kept running out of beryllium even after this. If I just boosted them with hydrogen, I would have never run out of beryllium again, basically. Setting up my second oxide factory. I used to only make one because that was good enough for my needs, but I got to the point where I need to start making a second one. As you can see, I'm out of oxide. And a lot of players, they go for surge alloy instead of a carbide crucible, which I have there on the left. I went for a carbide crucible in between the oxide instead of surge, and there's not a really good reason for that. Like some people have I guess like constructive criticism criticized me for using. See, my neighbor over there is making a surge between the oxide instead of carbide. But I definitely received a lot of criticism about using carbide instead of surge, because surge honestly is just better. I think the biggest reason it is better though is just because the afflict turret is just overpowered, and obviously you need surge for the afflict. So that's honestly, I think the only, not the only reason, but pretty much the main reason why everybody goes for surge. The reason I didn't go for surge is I want to find different routes than just the overpowered ones. Like there's more than one or two ways to play this game, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. What works best for me, what I like, strategies, whatever. And to a point, Anthicus, that's the T3 mech, is definitely the most overpowered unit. T3 unit, I'm, at least in my mind, I'm pretty sure most people's minds, very, very overpowered. So I guess I go that route to a point where I try not to go the overpowered route, but even sometimes I just go for the overpowered route like Anthicus. So I'm trying to find alternative ways to play other than just the single meta. Like there's gotta be other different strategies I can use. And I haven't played enough with different units to figure out the synergies between between the units and figure out ways other than just making 5,000 Anthicus factories. So right here, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm too busy talking. But I'm just setting up my carbide. So one of the other reasons I wanted carbide is so I can make a T4 factory, which later in the video I actually didn't get to because I was too busy dealing with other crap. But yeah, I was too busy dealing with other crap. I got definitely distracted when I saw one of my neighbors, what they're up to. But right now I'm just setting up a T2 because I've gone the route of jumping to T3 many times, and sometimes it backfires. It's definitely a little bit risky because you're basically defenseless up until you get that T3 factory up and running, and you need more than just one or two T3 units. You have to have like a good number of them in order to be well protected, so that's why I'm going for the T2. I like to jump to the T3, but I just played it safe this round. So again, this is another schematic I made. It's definitely a little old. There's definitely optimizations I could make. Definitely a lot of things I can do. As someone pointed out to me actually earlier today, one of the other people was I was online when I was practicing. But again, I just like making my own schematics because this, like, if you notice that schematic is very clean. That's definitely what I needed when I made it. I didn't want the hyper optimized schematics that are just the tiniest amount of space, the fewest resources, blah blah blah. I wanted something very clean and something very readable and something I can hook up easily, and that's what this schematic does very well, at least for me. The sand and graphite go in the bottom to the silicon. I'm just writing up tungsten right now. It goes into that bridge conveyor on the right of the factories, and then I'm just routing up some beryllium, which goes in the bottom. And again, it's very simple and very clean. That's what I needed when I made it. However, I need to go back and update it. Okay, so I'm just looking at my neighbor. They don't have anything threatening. They just have some T1 factories and a single T2 factory, and I'm setting up my triple big, not my triple big, my 3 big T2 factory. It's a hybrid, so I have some clairvoys and some locusts. And I actually think that was a bad decision to make my hybrid factory instead of just straight locusts, because I actually didn't end up using the clairvoys for their unique ability at all this game. So it definitely would have been, in hindsight, better to go for locusts instead, but just full locusts, but that's okay. That's why I record these videos. But yeah, basically, in the future, I haven't really explained what I plan on doing in the future. I said, so I want to go into like the basic economy. I want to go into some of the more advanced economy stuff, including like early game, like I guess the basic economy video will have more like mistakes that new players make, things they can do to improve your I guess early game, setting up your initial economy. That's like probably the most crucial time in the entire game, because the first 5 minutes of the game basically decides how your rest of the game is going to be spent, pretty much. Even if you're a very skilled player, if you screw up the first 5 minutes, you're catching up, like, basically the rest of the game. And if your opponents are 5 minutes ahead of you, it's basically game over unless they make a major issue later in the game. A major blunder, I mean. But I also want to make a video over there. He's making an afflict, and I see that, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna respond to that right now. I think I end up going for the T3 now. I've realized I need to step up my production if I want any chance of surviving, or I guess breaking through his defenses. But I guess what I was saying basically is that I also want to go into a video about specific interactions between troops and buildings. Once I kind of figure out more into the troop synergies and strategies that work, I'll make a video more on that. I won't go into like immense detail, but I will go over general strategies, troop placement, stuff like that. Larifeticus is insanely good at micro. If you're not familiar with that term, I think it refers to like micromanaging your troops in ways that are extremely beneficial militaristically wise. Like if you're in combat versus another person, both of you have 10 tanks. Basically, if you're going up against a person who has 10 stellas and you have 10 stellas, basically who ends up victorious depends on who does better micro, who's better at 1v1 direct combat. And Larifeticus is insanely good at micro. I'm definitely learning a little bit of tricks. He already has all that stuff in a video, but I mean I don't know. I can share things I've learned, my insights on them. Kind of try to get another perspective on a lot of the things he does. Because one of my things with him, his videos, they're very, very good if you already know a bit about the game, but he moves very quickly. And if you're already kind of lost onto how all this works, then it can be a little bit much sometimes. So over here, I noticed my neighbor to the south is making a bunch of T1 units. I'm not too concerned, which is why I'm not responding more directly, I guess, if that's the right word. More seriously, I guess. I'm not too worried about it, which ends up being my downfall, actually, because I didn't take my neighbor to the south more seriously than I did. I was much more worried about my neighbor to the east. My neighbor to the east, so he has some afflicts. At least one afflict that we've seen, and I'm pretty sure at this point in the game he's already started on a T3 factory, but I can't be sure. But if not, he does very soon. And just to state how important the economy is, the reason I'm able to build all of these things just like that is because I have a very well established economy. It's basically as strong as you'll need with one person alone. If you have more people on your team, you'll probably need for sure more oxide and tungsten, but I don't use that much in one go. Especially since I use build towers, I should. But honestly, build towers go too fast for me right now, because usually while I'm building, I'm wiring stuff up like I am right now. Some of the really good players are able to wire everything up in an extremely short amount of time, so the build tower can be completely finished. And wow, in the short amount of time that the build tower is going, they wired everything up. I'm not that fast. It took me the whole time for that whole factory to get set up before I had everything wired. So I'm looking over there. He has a bunch of T1 factories. I'm not too worried still. He has T2 factory. He hasn't yet set up his T3 factory, So I'm ahead right now, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. At this point in the game, at least. I'm just finishing up the nitrogen for it. This is one of the schematics I'll say borrowed from someone. I don't remember who it was, but I saw someone using the schematic, and I was like, wow, that is insanely easy. You just plop it down, plug in hydrogen, and boom, you have like a ton of nitrogen. So I stole that schematic, and I use it all the time. Very nice. I don't even remember what I'm doing here. So this schematic right here, I originally designed to be a 2-module, to have two refabricators in it, with just that one single line of fabricator and refabricator feeding into the two prime refabricators, because I was at the time under the impression that Claroy's and the T1 mechs took 30 seconds to build, I guess, to construct, and they actually take the Claroy takes 45 seconds, which is the bottleneck. And the reason I usually do 2 prime refabricators is because the tanks take 30 seconds. The locusts take 30 seconds to construct. So if you do the math, then exactly one refabricator feeds into two prime refabricators. And I see he's working on his T3 factory right now, so I'm getting a little bit trying to speed up my pace a little bit, but I know I'm still ahead because it's not running yet. But this factory right here was designed to have exactly 2, like I said, and that's because under the impression it was a perfect ratio, but it actually isn't. So that's a factory I actually today went and redesigned because I realized it is an imperfect design by quite a bit. It also runs out of nitrogen too. Another issue with it. It's very good if you're on a pinch, but that's about it. Looking at the nitrogen. Not even know I added those walls. I think I just forgot how the routers for the payloads work. So I'm building up an army of T2s. I definitely have a bigger army than he does, so I'm feeling pretty good right now. But again, later you'll see he builds another Afflict because he has that Surge, and that ends up being my downfall because I didn't have Surge to match his. Actually, I made several mistakes that led to my downfall. I had a very strong start, at least for my skill level, a very strong start, but it didn't end so well. Bring in my first Anthicus. I know I have an Anthicus and he doesn't, so I try to use that to my advantage because his prime refabricator isn't done yet. So I try to use that to my advantage, but I was not quick enough to actually gain a tremendous advantage from that. I should have started taking cores before my Anthicus was complete, so I can kind of spring it on him without him realizing what was going on. So I should have. It's one of the things I should have done. I'm realizing as I'm just now watching this. I move my army in, and there's the Afflict because he sees my Anthicus in my army. So he, of course, goes for one of the things I hate about this game, just building an Afflict, and an Afflict basically stops all progress unless you have something to match it, which I did not. I tried going for Titans later, you'll see, but it did not really work out that well because I also got busy with something else at the time. So my core's under attack. I'm trying to figure out which one. I realize, oh, I guess I'm ignoring it. Never mind. Oh no, I'm figuring out which one it is. It's on the left. Did I still not see it? There we go. I'm just annoyed by the eludes right now. I'm not taking it seriously. I'm just like, gonna kill him and just leave it alone kind of deal. It's just an annoyance right now. Again, I'm doing two things at once, so I'm not very proficient at either. He got some eludes passed by. I figured they would die from being too far from the core, so that's why I just ignored them. Gonna have my 2 Anthicus. I'm trying to use that to my advantage. But as you see, his first Anthicus rolled out, so I don't really have much of that advantage anymore. Especially without Afflict. I didn't check the range of the Afflict before I moved in. That was a dumb mistake. Also, the Afflict shoots out the Anthicus missiles, which I forgot about. Right now, I'm just kind of scrambling my brain, trying to figure out what to do. It's kind of a mess. While he's building up his base, I'm just sitting there trying to be looking at it. Which is the exact opposite of what you want to do. You want to be taking action in the short amount of time you can. So finally have the bright idea of making a Titan. If I did that 5 minutes ago, I wouldn't be in this situation. But that's why you get better at the game. You'll make mistakes. Again, my core is still under attack. The top. Oh, it just went away. Core is under attack. I'm ignoring it. On the top, you can see my base is being attacked. I, of course, didn't see that. Too busy with this over here. I have 4 Anthicus, but it doesn't really matter. He has an Afflict. Again, one of the reasons I didn't go for Surge is I just hate how you can just build an Afflict and it completely blocks off the path. Like, there's very little strategy, there's very little anything involved in it. Like, you just put down an Afflict and say, unless you're going to dedicate a ton of time and resources into breaking past this, there's not much you can do, which I strongly dislike. My only option right now is just Titan creep right now. I was just moving Titans up slowly and slowly. It's my only option right now. It's a terrible one, but I don't have anything else I can do. What would have been smart is if I went around while I had him distracted up here. If I made it look like this was my main assault, I was putting all my effort into this. In reality, I'm just trying to distract him and make it look like this is all my effort, and secretly moving some things around the corner, around the little massive land hex. But I go around. That would have been a smart thing to do, but I did not think of that. It also would have taken a while. And right now I'm just getting desperate. It's kind of sad. And I also see Olpence has logged on. He's one of the leading players in the entire game. And I know if I ignore him, he will build up, especially since me and this other guy are at a stalemate right now, and neither of us are really progressing technologically, or progressing our economy. I know I have to address Olpence before he builds up a ton of stuff and just becomes basically unstoppable. So right now I'm trying to fight 2 battles at the same time. I'm trying to stop him while also trying to hold this guy off, also trying to make my way over there to bring an Anthicus and this party, just trying to stop him. And right there, Carl says, Redeem, you should check your base. And of course, I go over and see there is nothing left. Absolutely nothing. And at this point, I'm just like, I just have no clue. I just realized that's it for me. I'm done. I moved some Anthicus over there. I'm spread really thin right now. I'm trying to also stop Ulpens at the same time. There's not much I can do. I'm hoping if I can get over there, my T3s can take out all of his T1s, but I also realize now he has T2s, so I'm like, frick. Maybe I can't recover from this. I'll try anyways. Thankfully, my opponent to the west there isn't doing anything. He's just kind of standing there. He's not progressing technologically, or he's not advancing his army. So that's definitely a plus for me. I'm very lucky that he wasn't doing very much right now. He's just kind of looking at my base and laughing, which is fair. I'm just at this lose-lose situation. If I withdraw, he advances his army and takes out any chance of me rebuilding my base. But I also kind of need my attention over there to take it back. And then this guy also adds insult to the injury. He's yelling at me for not producing enough hydrogen for my Titans. I'm just like, I'm spread real thin right now. And of course, my neighbor Carl to the south moves in his entire army to make it even more difficult for me right now. It's just going bad right now. I don't even know if I want to include some of these parts, just because it's just me struggling for like 30 minutes. My entire army's dead. I have significantly less troops than I had before. He's lost hardly any. Actually, I think he lost all of his T2, but he still has, I think, all of his Anthicus, which I lost a considerable amount. I think one of my mistakes was going for Ulpens. I should have just let, because the red guy is the closest person to him, so he would have come in conflict with Ulpens first. So I think, because right there I noticed he took out the Anthicus I sent over, because I wasn't there to pay attention to it. I was too busy on the other 2 battles I was doing. I couldn't do a third. And over here, I made the mistake of worrying about Ulpens. I should just let it be, because he has to fight the other guys too, and I'm spread too thin to worry about him. He's their problem. So now I realize I reclaimed all my essential cores for my base, so what I do, I just try to start rebuilding. You don't want to see all this, it's just 10 minutes of me trying to rebuild. And then my opponents realize I'm rebuilding and move in and take me out before I get a chance to do anything. At this point, I realized even if I was able to rebuild everything, there's no way I could defend myself without them completely ignoring me for like 10 or 15 minutes. This is an example of micro right here. I realize one of my Anthicus is getting low, so I move it backwards to put it behind the other two Anthicuses that are higher health. One of the things Lyrofeticus has, I think he says a lot of true things. I think one of the truest things Lyrofeticus has ever said in his videos is that the player's attention is the #1 most valuable resource. And this game is a perfect example of that, because any of the 3 threats, the base of the south, the base of the west, or Ulpens, I could have handled. I was struggling with one of them a little bit, but in the end, I'm pretty sure I would have come out on top. But any 3 of those threats on their own, I would have been able to figure out. But not only are my resources split, the biggest thing was my attention was split, and that really is what beat me this game. Is just I have yet to be really good at multitasking in this game. And I guess all the professionals say multitasking isn't really multitasking, it's just going back and forth between tasks really fast. And that's what I was doing in this game, just not the really fast part. Yeah. And as you can see, this is where I lose, because I have an attack on the left, as you can see. There's also some Anthicuses coming in from the right, and I'm basically screwed. There's absolutely nothing I can do. For some reason, they really, really want me gone, and they don't see each other as a threat. Well, I guess it's a one-sided threat, but still. They really want me gone right now. And I decide I'm dead, so I'm just gonna... Yeah, so the reason I wanted to post this video is just because I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I lost pretty bad, but I learned a lot from it, which is usually my biggest thing. Is I like winning, obviously, but even more important than that, I want to learn something. Because if I'm not learning anything, I'm not gonna... Yeah, I might be able to beat the players in my current tier, but I won't be able to beat the players above me. And I learned a lot of lessons this game, especially since I recorded it. This is like this is like the second time I've gone over the footage, and I kind of skimmed it too. And I can take a lot of lessons out of this I wouldn't have gained if I didn't record this game and review this game. So honestly, I'm doing this mostly for me. I just posted it because I also just want to make videos about this specific server on Erekir. I definitely way prefer Erekir. This is a whole different rant I can get into another time, but I definitely way prefer Erekir. I actually ended up playing the original Mindustry, the one that was only on your phone. It's now called Mindustry Classic, only on some devices. I played that game when it first came out, and then when that game got demoted from being Mindustry to being called Mindustry Classic, and they came out with Mindustry, like that game like blew my mind. I was like, whoa! Now I played it on my phone, and that was like years ago. And then I haven't touched the game since. And then I haven't touched the game like 3 or 4 years, and I came back, and there's this whole new thing called Erekir, and I played it, and oh my, I loved it so much more. And yeah, basically, the stuff that happened next, following all this, is just a bunch of fallen stuff, and then obviously that one guy won, red won. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you either learned something or were just bored and watched some Mindustry. But thanks for watching. I'll plan on posting more in the future. We'll see if any more good matches happen or if I end up making those other videos. But yeah, thank you for watching.